Welcome back to Voltage Bros, your ultimate destination for all things movies. My name is Jerome.
And I'm Kenny, and each week we, two brothers, bring you an in-depth review and commentary of the newest blockbuster.
We also make videos about the movies we watched individually, so make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.
With that said, today we'll be talking about Twisters.
So without further ado, let's review. Me and Kenny watched Twisters this week. I watched the first one this week for the first time as well, and to put a review on the channel for that, so you can check that out. And
I didn't watch the original at all, so I came in with a completely fresh look.
So if you guys have seen the old one, then put your comments below of what you think of the old one versus the new one. And if you haven't seen the old one, here you can find out whether you should watch it before watching the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny didn't, so did he miss out?
Right.
Who knows? Let's talk about it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, speaking of the old one, did it live up to the original?
There's a lot of really good things in the original that I talked about in my video, and there's a lot of really good things in this one.
Okay.
So, yes, it did live up to the hype, and I didn't know there was a hype until I recently watched the one this week. But yes.
Yeah. No, especially what you said about, I didn't know that there was a hype, right? Me neither. It turns out there's a whole group of, like, whole fan base for this whole movie, right? I went to this movie expecting an empty theater on Thursday, right? Kind of like most Thursday movies, to be honest. But it was pretty full.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it turns out there's a lot of fans of Twisters, right? If you're a fan, like this video.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll just go through and talk about each point of the movie. You know, it's worked for us. That's pretty much how we do it. We just talk about things from the start, things from the middle, and things from the end. So if you make it to the end, let us know.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, let's start at the beginning then.
Okay.
First scene.
First scene, man.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you already. Right. My very first thought when I saw the whole group was, they're all gonna die.
Really?
I knew that they were gonna die, and for some reason I just knew that because they were storm chasing or tornado chasing, and I was right.
Dang, you felt that.
I just knew that, and I was right, but it still hit so hard.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't expecting to see each of them fly away individually. I just expected, like, the storm to hit, for there to be chaos, and then it would cut away and be like, only I survived, or something like that, right? That's what you expect. But no, you watch every single one of her best friends die. Every single one.
It was crazy. And I had a little bit of a different prediction than you.
Yeah.
When the opening scene happened, it looked pretty calm and nice,
Right.
And then it turned bad quickly.
Right.
And then my thought was, which one of them is going to die?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, it'll probably be her boyfriend. And then they even introduced, you know, a little quirk about one of her other friends was, oh, he's scared of lightning ever since he got struck by lightning. I was like, okay, nice little setup for the rest of the movie.
Right.
No,
he just died.
Yeah.
He was the first one to go, I think. Yeah.
And so when he died, I was like, oh, he was the one. Okay. But then they just kept dropping off.
Going. And then even at the end, I had a little hope that the boyfriend was going to survive, because he's like, I got you. Don't worry. You're fine. And then suddenly just
like, it's them too.
gone.
Yeah.
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 I did appreciate that it wasn't too gory either. Right. It hit you with the same feeling without having to watch them like they flew away. And that was intense.
Right.
But they didn't fly away and, like, hit their head on things and whack all over the place. Right.
Right. Which they definitely could have done.
Right.
Yeah.
They could have done that. And I'm glad they didn't.
It wasn't needed for this one.
Right.
Yeah.
You just know they're flying into a tornado. They're gone.
For sure. Yeah. And it was an interesting choice to have all three of her friends die, the main character, because of course if you have one person die, it's like it's it's just, for the story arc,
Right.
know.
Right.
But when they have all three die, it just makes it more real
Mm-hmm.
and less of a story element and more of a this is something that happened to someone and it was really sad.
Right. Right. It really hits you then. It doesn't feel like a movie as much, right? It feels like real life.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, that and she had her leg cut, so she had all the
Yeah.
above.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I thought was maybe missing, not missing necessarily, because I was hoping for it later in the movie, was to understand exactly like why the tornado got worse and why her thing didn't work.
Mm.
Which I guess we kind of understood why it didn't work later, but we don't really understand why it was something worse, why she got it wrong. Right?
Yeah, I was confused about that. I thought that she did make it worse.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But I don't. By the end, I think that wasn't what they were trying to get across.
I don't think
think
so.
she just didn't have enough.
Yeah.
She just didn't have enough of
Well,
the sand.
yeah, and for some reason she just got it a little wrong, and it wasn't a something one, it was a 5.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if it was a 1 tornado instead of a level 5 tornado, it would have gotten rid of it with the amount of sand that she had, but she needed 5 times that amount.
Right. Oh, is
Yeah.
that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even understand that. So.
And I guess she didn't. She was too traumatized to realize that
Yeah,
until
I guess.
later on in the end.
Right. Because then it does immediately cut to her in New York, still doing weather things.
Tornado work.
Right. So
predictions.
I was a little surprised about that. Honestly, thought that the way the movie would go, and I'm not unhappy about it. I think it was still a good choice. But I would have expected her to be like completely like in New York, have doing something nothing to do with weather, you know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But she still did, and I don't mind that. I think that was a good choice because it's still something she put her life into, and she's good at, and that's something you can get a job in. It showed she still had the skill at the very beginning. The person was like, "What do you see in this?" Right? Oh, it'll go away. Okay, we won't put out warnings. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of appreciated that. It went a different direction than I was expecting, uh, which was good. I thought.
Kate's other friend, Javi,
Right.
comes and shows up and wants her to rejoin him studying the tornadoes. And I guess during this part is where they use that trick again in movies.
Oh, she's just the best.
Where she's just the
Yeah.
best. And at first, I wasn't really convinced
Yeah.
that she was the best. Eventually, after she showed her skills, I believed it. She was the best
Okay.
tornado hunter.
Yeah.
But it just took a little bit. At
Yeah.
first, it was almost an eye roll, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
It worked.
Well, I think in the first scene they showed it a decent amount. Like, should we wait until it's wet? And then it immediately starts raining. Oh, you already knew it was going to be raining or something. But then they didn't quite show it enough. And then I think the reason it didn't become an eye roll is because then you learn. Oh no, she didn't finish her degree. Well, you kind of then understand she went to school for it.
For me, the reason I finally got on board with the fact that she was the best even was when she watched the wind go back and forth.
Oh yeah, for the 2 tornadoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was chasing, and then she decided to go after the right
Go
one.
left, go left.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when I got on board with the
Right.
fact that she was the best.
Yeah. And I think that was perfect too because who's the guy?
Tyler is the YouTuber.
Right. And he's the tornado wrangler. He's super good, obviously, and he went right. Right. So it made that distinction. He's super good, but she's better. She's the best.
Yeah. Well, here's where I'll explain to you a little bit between the difference of the first one and the second one.
Okay.
So in the first one, they have a very similar beginning up to this point where there's a tragedy and then there's tornado hunting and then there's an evil group of tornado hunters
Yeah.
as well,
Right.
and that's what pushes the story along.
Okay.
And so the difference between the first one and the second one is that in the first one, the evil group is the ones with the money,
Yeah.
and the good group is the ones that are just out there for the ride,
Yeah.
you know. So in this one, it started out with her being on the side of the money,
Yep.
and then the bad ones were the YouTubers who were in it for the ride,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And so I thought,
Did in the
okay.
original? Did she start on the one with
Mm-mm.
money?
No.
Okay.
So this one is much better in my opinion, the
Yeah.
second one, just because of the fact that there's some switcheroos.
Right.
There's some
There's some development.
battle back and forth between the good and the bad side, because the whole time in the first one and even in this one, I was like, why can't y'all just work together?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So this movie definitely played with that.
Yeah.
With being on both sides. Oh, maybe this person's doing it for the wrong reasons. Oh, maybe it's the right reasons.
Right.
Maybe there's some little bit of betrayal in here.
Yeah.
Maybe this person's not exactly who they say they are. Or maybe there's something to this character that's actually good, you know? And it focused on that's what pushed the story along rather than
Right.
just the two sides battling it out.
Right.
It was the
Right.
two sides connecting and figuring things out together
Right.
and growing as people, which
Right.
was really awesome.
Yeah. I agree. I didn't know that there was that difference.
Mm.
So I'm
So-
glad there is.
Yeah. So eventually the money side ends up being the bad side again.
Yeah.
But
only part of it, because the guy from the first scene leaves it. Leaves it? No, he doesn't. He chooses good, but he still has the truck. I don't know exactly know what happened to him.
yeah.
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 What's his name?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he was the guy that wasn't really on board with Kate coming along. And then
That's the bad one.
yeah.
That he was basically supposed to be the poster for that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Kate was
And
always
they could have made Javi that way.
right.
And they could have just had Javi just be the
the
evil.
villain.
Be the evil.
Right.
But he had two sides to him as well. So
Right. Yeah, which was really good. I think Kate was always good. She just didn't know that they were bad until she was shown. And then he was the one who was actually like, I don't know.
Mhm.
Right. So, yeah.
The other thing I liked in this movie was just the visuals.
Yeah.
It all looked so cool.
Right.
And all felt so real.
Yes.
And just when there's tornadoes going through fire, it's like it just looks so
Right.
real.
Right.
And you feel very, very in it.
Yeah.
Especially in the movie theater, which I think it made a difference
Right.
for sure.
Mhm.
You definitely feel what's going on, and especially one of the tornado scenes where they go from being at the rodeo to a tornado coming,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have to hide in the pool, and there's a mom hovering over her kid.
Yep.
That part I almost teared up at.
Yeah.
That was just so intense.
It was
just the
super
way that
good.
the mom was saying it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually breathing heavily, started to,
Yeah.
and so that was the moment that got to me. But all the tornado scenes
We're
in
great.
it, I was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote it down as I loved the action scenes.
Mm.
They weren't really action,
Mm.
but they were intense moments that like made you created an emotional response,
Mm.
right? Every single time. There wasn't it never felt like there was a tornado just for fun,
Right.
right? It wasn't
Because
just
it's a
there
tornado
to be
movie.
an action scene.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was there because it is a tornado movie, but mainly because it still moves the plot forward in some way,
Mhm.
right? Or makes you understand something about the movie, right? So, yeah, I loved it, and visually amazing
Mhm.
every time. Yeah. The other thing I appreciated about this movie, you have to tell me if the original is like this.
Mm.
I appreciated that it wasn't just romance,
Mm.
which for some I kind of expected it to be
Mm.
when I went into it. Only because of the trailer. Like it just seems like that tension, right?
I didn't expect a romance story at all.
Oh, okay, I kind of did, but
Like,
I
I
know
didn't
nothing. I know nothing about the series, right?
Because I was expecting them to just be enemies the whole time.
Right.
I thought he was
Okay.
just the face of the enemies.
Gotcha.
I didn't expect for him to actually be a real
Okay.
character at all.
Well, I expected it simply because I thought he was gonna be the bad guy and she the good guy, but like then they figure out their differences and they love each other or something,
Nice.
right?
You saw it.
Which I guess I kind of saw, but it wasn't the. It was a big part of the movie, but it wasn't the main part.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There was other more important things.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. Is the original? I'm guessing it's not like that then. If you didn't expect it.
Oh, wait. Not yet. I shouldn't have done it while you were talking. Now it looks like I did it on purpose. So the original is about a married couple getting back together.
Oh.
So
Okay.
yeah, this one's a younger
Interesting.
generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different time periods.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Yeah.
Trying to think. The only other.
I really liked Tyler's smile.
Yeah.
His smile is so cool.
You needed to add like some wheat in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, his mouth is like small, but it makes his cheeks like pop out and it has nice little dimples.
Yeah.
Dang. He's a country
What's his
guy,
name?
man. Tyler.
If you like Tyler, like the video
Yeah, man.
and subscribe.
Because everyone likes that guy.
Yeah. And he actually did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he normally plays,
Mm-hmm.
but he did really good as a country dude. Like
Yeah.
He's sold, right?
Mhm.
I honestly believe that's how he grew up,
Yeah.
right? Kate, not as much.
Yeah. Tyler was a really interesting character just because of the fact that he was at first looked at as just the crazy one.
Yeah.
But what I liked about him is that they don't redeem him in everything, you
Yeah.
know, because sometimes when it's that evil arrogant dude, you find out, oh, he's not really evil and arrogant at all.
Yeah.
But this one is like, oh, he's not really evil and arrogant, but he's kind of a little bit arrogant. Like
Yeah.
he still puts his face on
Yeah.
a t-shirt and then
Right.
and
Gives
then,
it to his
right.
girlfriend's mom.
Right. And they had a joke about that a couple of times. So
Yeah.
they still like kept that in him.
Right.
You know? And instead of being a thing that we're like, oh, he's so arrogant, it's like, what an arrogant guy. We love that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
They used the quality as a bad thing and a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. They switched it.
yeah,
around.
it becomes endearing
Right.
when you accept this about this person and he's not trying to hurt anyone.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
On the Kate side, she did a good job with the character. But the thing that I wasn't sold about was her change, because she had a traumatic event, and then 5 years later, someone asks her to do tornado stuff,
mhm.
and then she just pretty much gets back into it, except for like a slip up on the first tornado. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
It felt a little fast to me, that part. Now that I think about it, I guess kind of later with Tyler in the farm, they kind of make some more progress there. She's like, it failed when it mattered most, right? Something like that.
Yeah, there was that. I think it built up pretty well because there was that moment, but also they had the moment in the rodeo where he was talking about he used to be scared of bulls, he used to be scared of tornadoes, but then he decided
That's why
you don't face your fears.
Oh, that's true.
You
I
ride
didn't
them.
think about that.
You ride them.
Right.
So I think that got into her head a little
Yeah.
bit and helped the progress along.
That's true. Yeah, you saw more on that than I did, but that
And the big line was, I think it was also from Tyler, right? Where he said, this tornado's taking so much from you, how much more are you gonna let it take from you?
right.
Which
Right.
was awesome.
Really good.
Loved that
Yeah.
line. Had goosebumps a little bit.
Now that you make me think about it, that was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I guess then the only gripe was that it wasn't a little more blunt, but I guess it was kind of blunt. So that was just me kind of missing it, I
Yeah.
think.
Well,
Hmm.
it's always gonna be a little bit unrealistic in a 2-hour movie.
Right.
You know, it's
That's
hard
true.
to do.
Yeah.
So some things, it's just a 2-hour movie.
I think I was hoping like the mom would have more to do with it.
Hmm.
She had a little bit, but I liked the mom.
Yeah.
She was really good.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wish she was in it more.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's just my personal preference there.
And she definitely did some stuff that our mom would do, for
Right.
sure. It's just like let people stay the night whenever.
Right.
Just like have a meal ready for
Yeah.
somebody who's randomly coming along, just like really inviting.
Yeah.
To
It's like, you can stay for dinner. No, mom. No, I'm good. You're staying for dinner.
yeah.
Yeah.
To the point where sometimes the kids are like, "Come on,"
Right.
but it's still an amazing quality.
Right. And she like walked out of the barn saying, "Still waiting for you to save the world."
Yeah.
Right. So she did have some really good lines in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the fact that her daughter showed up at the house later, 5 years later, and
right.
She didn't say, "Where were you?"
Right.
I was all alone.
Yeah.
Like, she could have,
Right.
but she was just inviting, like understanding.
Right.
You know.
I thought there was gonna be a scene with a tornado and like her mom and the farm or something. There wasn't any of that, which I think I'm okay with.
Yeah.
That
would have been
I think that would have been a little too
almost
much.
cheesy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, no, mom, gotta save her. Right. But she wasn't even in like the town for the climax. Right.
Yeah.
She was just there in the middle. I wish she was in the middle a little more, but I'm glad she wasn't in the beginning or the end. Right. I think that was good.
Yeah. So by the end, once they've come back and forth between the sides, learned about each other, and kind of are now all on the same team, Tyler, Javi, and Kate.
Right.
They are all deciding to go and do what they can to save the city that is going to be destroyed by the tornado. And they first abandon their way to do it, I guess because they just don't believe that it can work. And then at the last second, she
decides to
just tries it anyway.
Well, I think because they knew that they were probably going to fly away or something. Right?
The barrels?
That's what I got. Yeah, you're talking about the last scene with the big tornado. A, it was catching on fire.
Oh.
So then they started backing up. And B, it was a lot bigger than they were expecting. And they assumed their truck was going to fly away, I think. So they weren't going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for some reason I went along with it.
Yeah.
And then there was a point where I was like, wait, why didn't she just do that at first?
Right.
Right. But whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the reasoning was they were going to die. So they drove away.
Yeah. And they even voiced it. Tyler even said, there's nothing we can do about this. We just got to do what we can.
Well, and their electronics went out. The drone went out. So I think they were like, oh, this is a lot worse than we thought. Right? They didn't see it coming. The Javi guy, right? They just went right into it. Like, oh, crap. Yeah. So, yeah. That ending scene was still so good. I was expecting everyone to be saved. Not everyone was saved. Some people flew away.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when that happened. I was like, wait, people still died.
Yeah.
But I think that made it really good because it gave me like desperation, almost. And you could feel that in Kate a little bit. Like, this is our only option. Better go try this out. Might die, but it's all I got.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that she went by herself to go do it.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Tyler would be in the car with her or something. But
I thought it was a good choice because her friends died last time. So she didn't want to do that again.
And the story was about her.
Right.
Like even though he told the reporter his story's really about her. Right. So I guess they just did that because it was about her.
Right.
But I still thought maybe they could have had Tyler go with her.
Yeah.
Would have been cool.
That's true.
But
They should have actually sent the reporter.
yeah, yeah.
Like
That guy
a
was
shout
funny.
out to that guy. Yeah, so good. I
Yeah.
think was he in the original?
No.
Okay, that was a great addition,
Hmm.
I think, because he just added little things here and there that were perfect. Um, that line, "Your story is really about her,"
Mhm.
was great and could only happen if
Mhm.
he was there. And also, he had some character development throughout the movie, right? The crew
Mhm.
generally all stayed the same, um, but he actually like really scared at the beginning, taking photos of things. But then at the end, he was like, "Taking pictures," and he was like, "No." Threw away the camera and went to go help people.
Oh,
In
really?
the last scene, yeah, you
I
didn't
missed
notice
that.
that?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, in the last scene, yeah, he like got out his camera and he like looked. He was like,
I
and then
didn't
like
even.
threw the camera
Man,
away
I
into
missed
the
that. Must
truck.
have blinked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he threw the camera away and then he went to go help people and direct them,
That's cool.
like having learned from the crew. Yeah, it was really
Nice.
awesome. I thought.
Nice. You asked if the reporter was in the first movie.
Yeah.
So I don't think. Pretty sure there was
Okay.
no one from the first movie in the second one.
Okay.
The only connection was the little device they had at the beginning,
Right.
which they had the little Dorothy device.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing that's sending up those little flying things.
Yep.
That's their goal in the first one, is to get those to work.
Okay.
So now they're using that in the second one. That's the only connection.
So is it not really a remake?
It's a sequel.
It is. Oh, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there's no characters from the first one other than the second one.
Right.
Which was really amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that just because of all the other remakes that have been happening,
Yep.
that they'd have one actor show up for a couple scenes or something,
Right.
or just like in the end,
To teach him something.
right,
Yeah.
or just to be there and all we all go,
Right.
you know, just
Right.
because they did that with Ghostbusters and Star Wars. But I
Yeah.
mean, those are bigger movies, but I still expected it
Right.
from this one for some reason.
Well, I'm glad they did it.
Me too,
Yes.
because it's its own thing
Mm-hmm.
and it deserves to be its own thing. It
Right.
just works so well by itself.
Right.
And the first one's good, but you can definitely just watch this one and enjoy it. And
Right.
I think there's some things better about the second one, just more in depth with the characters.
Yeah.
But I still really love the first one. Yeah. Okay. Last scene.
Uh-huh. Like airport?
Airport
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
When it was so awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it so much.
Mhm.
When Tyler and Kate are saying goodbye and they're having a conversation, and Tyler is basically asking,
When you come
are you
back?
gonna stay? Like, are we a thing?
Yeah.
You know, basically. And Kate says, well, if you feel it, chase it, you
Yeah.
know? And it was a perfect line. But also, right before she said that line, I was like, she's gonna say the line. But the line I was expecting was, you don't face your fears, you ride them. And I was like, oh wait, not that one.
would not work.
So she said the other line, but
I'm glad.
but that's the one I was expecting. And I was like,
That actually would have been so funny though.
no, that would have been really good. I was like, she's gonna say the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been really funny. I think.
So she either could have worked.
I liked the kind of extreme reaction to the parking thing,
Yeah.
where he just drills into the pavement of a government airport.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's kind of far fetched,
yeah,
but it
it's
works
a little
so
far-fetched,
well.
but it works just because it's the movie.
Yeah.
And then the tornado happens, right? And they kind of smile at each other and leave.
It said there's delays.
Right.
Oh,
delays
because
of a tornado. Right. The wind
awesome.
started picking up.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And they just look at each other.
Yeah.
Man.
One other random thing throughout the movie that I really appreciated that I forgot until now was how they made tornadoes seem beautiful in moments and scary in others. Right? So when they, in the first scene, right, they're like so excited, like, wow, look at that. That's beautiful. And there's kind of a little music in the background. It's a little shiny while it's forming.
Yeah.
Right? I appreciated that. It happened again later, multiple times throughout the movie. which I appreciated. But also on the other end of the spectrum, it was really scary sometimes, right? And so they showed both ends, which I think was perfect because it's like, wow, like these things are majestic and beautiful. Like when you study something, you come to love it, right? But also it's still really scary and it will kill you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just random side note that I really appreciated. Like
Yeah.
they did the filming of that really well without having to. They never said that. They never said, "Look how beautiful it is," but also it can kill you. Right?
Yeah.
They just showed it.
Yeah.
Right. When you can show and not tell, it's always better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's definitely a theme that they took from the first one that worked just as well in the second one, and is just even more amazing now because of the visuals that we have now. I mean,
Right.
the Twister made back then, apparently it was had really good visuals for the time, and I didn't really even complain watching it now. I was like, this looks really good.
Yeah.
You know, the old one, but now even I was like, there's like no slacking off
Yeah.
at all
No, it looks real
in this one.
Yeah.
Like sometimes nowadays in some movies you can be like, oh man, that looks like so bad.
Yeah, that looks bad.
But
yeah, this looked real. No
good.
complaint.
Looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I liked about this one was the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it was funny because
Olivia my wife started listening to it on the way home.
Nice.
And this morning.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting how the soundtrack, there was like two parts to it, because there was score, but then there was also country songs that they chose, and they're completely different from each other.
Right.
Those two vibes, but they just chose the right music for the right time.
Right.
Every time.
Right.
And no matter if it was different or from the last 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't feel jarring or anything. It was just interesting.
Right. It just
worked. Different choices. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They did really well. Well, in the end, what kind of rating are you giving this movie?
Well, the best live action that we've reviewed on this channel so far.
I 100% agree with that.
So that's my review.
It was.
We have our channel hasn't been out for that long,
right?
But look at the ones we've reviewed so far.
Yeah,
like it's the best live action we've reviewed so far.
For me, it was a pleasant surprise.
Awesome.
I had low expectations because I knew nothing about it, and it was exceeded by a lot.
Awesome. Well, Kenny.
Jerem.
I enjoyed talking to you, and I enjoyed watching this movie. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe and click that notification bell so you can get notified for every single video that comes out. We do discussions, we do individual videos, so we'd love for you to come along and subscribe.
So, let's bolt.